Everybody welcome Tony Fulgham.
So I'm going to talk tonight a little bit about where we spend that incentive money, which is we almost make porn, but not quite. And so I'm going to give you a little background on World Famous. I've worked with a lot of you guys. I'm not sure if you know how we started. Alan and I were both editors in the very early days of Digital Kitchen. Alan Nave, right over there. And there was lots of screaming and yelling then, but we got along, good brotherly love, went off on our own paths, ended up in LA at the same time. He went off to Chicago. We ended up back in Seattle at the same time, coincidentally, started bidding against each other on jobs editorially, thought that was stupid, mortgaged our houses, and started World Famous with one employee, Megan Lingefelter. So the night that we decided to start a company was a little drunk, and there was a napkin, and we wrote a business plan on the napkin, and basically it said, let's make some money doing commercial work and then spend it doing really fun stuff. Let's go build a fort and make art, and we'll try to get other people to come make art with us too, and we'll do some commercial work along the way, and that'll finance it. So everybody that's a creative that's worked any place has had that disgruntled conversation. Well, if I had my own company, I'd do something cool. Oh, thank you. And we'd only work, half the time, and the rest of the time it'd just be fun doing cool art projects. And I've heard it up and down, and no one ever does it. Not any place that I've worked. And Alan and I sold this bill of goods to Megan when we brought her in to work at World Famous. So it was one Avid, no desks. Totally forgot to buy our new executive producer a computer. I mean, but she grabbed onto this idea that we were going to do art for art's sake and finance it through commercial work. So fast forward 3 years, we still hadn't figured out how to do it. She hadn't given up, Alan hadn't given up, I hadn't given up. We were going to try to figure out how to do it, but we realized after 3 years we were out of debt, we were doing live action production, we were hiring a bunch of you guys and getting to know you, and there's this awesome town that was doing cool stuff, but still we hadn't figured out how in our weekly, monthly, daily lives we were going to do art, which is why we went to, that's why we went to film school. I went to film school to make movies. I play music because it feels good. Alan is a musician. He used to do these weird mixtapes and stuff. We weren't doing that to make money. And so now everything we were doing was this struggle to get a business going, which was incredibly rewarding in itself. Building a business is a creative process that I never thought I would enjoy, and actually it turns out I have a little bit. But about 3 years into, 3 or 4 years into it, Megan found a website called Learning to Love You More by Miranda July and Harold Fletcher, I think was the guy that she worked with. And pretty much the same day she stumbled across this website, my wife gave me the book Learning to Love You More. And what it was is Miranda July and Harold Fletcher had set up all these assignments on a website. And they were, draw a portrait of your neighbor. And then later on, they put up another one, do a copy of the portrait of the neighbor or something like that. And it was open submissions from anyone that hit the website. And there was all these amazing art projects that came in based on these assignments. We thought that was pretty cool. And I think that probably what we latched onto was the word assignment a little bit. Because we'd gone around the block, like maybe let's do a short film. We'll all get together and powwow an idea. We'd come up with these cool ideas, and 6 months later, we're like, didn't we have an idea about a short film we were going to do? And I remember one was, all right, we're going to make a short film called Johnny Goes Out for Milk and Never Comes Back. That's how we started with the title. And that short film was never made. Actually, it's been made twice now. But 6 months went down the road, and we hadn't figured out what the story was, and we didn't make the short film. We were doing lots of really fun, amazing work, but there was this other aspect of it that still hadn't clicked in yet. So the whole idea of the assignments, we were like, let's do our own assignments. So we were probably 6 or 8 strong at World Famous at that point. We all sat around and brainstormed assignments, and they ranged anywhere from Johnny went out for milk and never came back, which is on the list, to What is Love, to portray an intimate moment. I think I got a couple of them here. I don't know which ones I got up. Make a video off your favorite quote make a pornographic movie is one of them. You know, I mean, there's stuff that we put on the list that we knew was never going to be for the public, or we thought was never going to be for the public. And the idea was, okay, we have all these assignments. Everybody's supposed to do one of these assignments, but when are they going to do them? You know, we're working. We're making a living. So we just made it mandatory. That was the secret. We had to do that. We had to make it so that everybody, the office manager, the executive producer, all the producers, all the creatives, everybody had to pick whatever one they wanted off the list every month, and they had to show up at the end of the month, show them, and we all critiqued them and talked about them. So I remember the first month, everybody was petrified. I mean, we'd all worked together creatively, but we'd always had this thing sitting above us, which was we knew what the end had to be. We knew what the product had to be at the end. And that's a safety net that you don't recognize until you take it away. You know, if you start doing work for work's sake and you have no clue how shitty or good the end product is going to be, that's hanging your ass out, especially when you dump an unfinished project in front of your coworkers who you respect and spend every day with. Because the thing is about the mandatory assignments is there was some grumbling. Not everybody wanted to do it. Everybody liked the idea of doing art for art's sake. No one liked the idea of a deadline, because if you're the sole owner of an idea and you're responsible for executing the production of this idea, you're never finished. I mean, you know, plenty of artists in this room know you never, ever, ever want to stop and actually show it to somebody, because it could always be better. Try to do it in your off hours in 20 days, you know. And of course it's not done. They're never done. You want to keep going. And so the first one, man, oh my God, the disclaimers just left and right, you know. And I don't remember who went first, but I feel really sorry for whoever did, because I know that it was just like they were shitting bricks. And so we all crammed in this tiny little edit bay and threw it up on the TV. And I think there was probably 8 that first month. And I think we probably sat in the room for 3 hours just talking about how we could have done it differently, talking about what was great about it. And something really special happened when we did that first one. I'd been working with some of these people for a long time. Some of them I'd only worked with for a little bit. But some of the first ones were personal. Like, there was stuff that they threw out there because we hadn't told them we were going to put them on the web yet. But, you know, there was stuff that was really, you know, that you only do in art, right? I mean, why do you write? If you're writing a script for a commercial, you know, you love it, but you're doing it a bit to get paid. If you're writing with no audience in mind, you're doing it from someplace else. And I think most people got into the edit bay that first time, and then they realized what they'd done. Like, it was too late to go back. And so we watched them. It was fantastic. And then everybody was really excited because there was peer quality. Like, the person who answered the phones and the producer and the creative directors and the bosses and the editors, and everybody was on this level playing ground, and the conversation very quickly got to a very level playing ground. Everybody was totally comfortable telling me why mine sucked, which was really great. I mean, you know, and why it was great too. There was lots of, you know, pats on the ass, but it was so fast that we were exchanging ideas honestly, with, like, the ego just melted off quickly, and so we were excited then. So we started. I mean, every month we were doing them. Every month we're doing them, and so we thought we'd discovered something great, but we had no idea what the offspring of this assignment thing was going to be, and it really started to influence the culture at World Famous. So I'm going to sidetrack a little bit. World Famous is there's 12 of us now, with some subcontractors who are really, like, freelancers who are pretty consistent. That's smallish to medium-sized in our industry. In Seattle, it's probably medium-sized. We do pretty good. We do a lot of work for Xbox. We're doing some lottery spots. You know, we have the good months, we have the bad months, just like anybody else in this industry. But I would say that we are in a sweet spot. Like, right now, shit is good, and it is. And it has a bit to do with the work that we're doing, and it has a bit to do with the fact that we've got some really great clients. But mostly, it's because every single person that works at World Famous is happy to be there. And I know this to be true because they've all told me when they weren't. So, I mean, I know when they're unhappy because there is no hesitation and lots of foot stomping. But right now, like people show up and they're glad to be there. And there's an excitement about it that isn't just because of the assignments. The assignments are this little tiny piece of it that sort of grew something else, which was like this personal aspect of art. When you put something out there and you sit around and you talk about it, you're letting someone get to know you. And when they get to know you, they care about you. And when they care about you, there's accountability. And when there's accountability, there's collaboration. And this thing that stacked up off of this weird little art project we wanted to do, which was actually done selfishly because we wanted to do cool shit, turned into this thing that started to inform all these decisions we made about our company. One would be, when we first started, we had no choice but to buy lunch for everybody every day because we were working 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Well, we got to this point where we could have backed off from that, and we were scared to do it because the thing that had come from that is the entire company sits around a table every single day and shares a meal, which was just, we kind of recognized that the thing that we had started to gain out of the assignments was just continued at a shared meal. You know, so we're sitting around talking, we're not talking about work at lunch, we're talking about our families, and we're talking about what we did over the weekend, but it's not water cooler talk. I mean, it's good that we don't have an HR person, you know? I mean, so I really felt like mine and Alan's decision to not get in the way of that was one of the best things we've ever done, and it's really started to inform a lot of things that we do. Like, we are not nearly smart enough to design something that's working as well as it is at World Famous right now. The only thing that we were smart enough to do is learn how to shut up and get out of the way. Because we got good people, we put them in the right place, we gave them a few tools, and then, you know, it's its own little bacterial thing that's kind of smells bad sometimes, but mostly is usually pretty great. And so anyway, off on that track. Back to the assignments. So this a sense of accountability that came from sharing a meal and the sense of accountability that came from getting to know each other through art projects. There's one, I don't think I brought it, but one of our designers at one point who ended up moving to another state not too long ago, which was very sad. We all loved him very much. But he and his wife were having problems. And he brought in and this guy he didn't share his feelings very well. He was pretty closed book. But he came in with this assignment that was the angriest thing I've ever seen in my life, and it was so sweet and nice, and it's this kind of nice animation, and shit blows up, there's blood everywhere, and it's talking about getting your heart ripped up and chopped into pieces. And this guy, I mean, he just like saved it up over 8 months of not doing this in an assignment, and he's like, you know, there it was, and immediately everybody was just, I mean, they all knew him suddenly. I mean, it was like in one assignment he went there, and so the thing. It's been really rewarding to do these assignments as far as a creative exercise, getting to know each other. But professionally, it's helped because that sense of accountability, you can't buy it. You cannot buy it. You can only create a space where it will naturally happen, and it won't happen fast. I mean, that's the thing. Is like I think when we started the company, I thought that, you know, people would do the right thing immediately, and then I realized 3 years down the road I sure as shit wasn't, you know, and it took being vulnerable with each other. Now the assignments aren't solely responsible for that, but they surely were a good starting point, and so being vulnerable with each other, feeling accountable to each other, the way that ended up showing up in our professional work. Clients, I mean, okay, so there's plenty of people who do what we do for a living. Lots of designers, lots of animators, lots of editors, lots of directors, lots of really, really good ones, lots of really, really good ones in this town. You know, I can name 3 companies right off the top of my head who do shit hot work, and I go to their sites regularly to watch it. I mean, oh, hello, Digital Kitchen, super fad. I mean, I can just keep going. There's great, great talent in this town, you know, but there was something that I think attracted people to us besides our work, and it was the weird that we started putting the assignments on the website. And it's not that any one of them is this amazing standout piece of work, but I think people started to become intrigued by the fact that someone would do it. you know, and that someone would do it and then put it up. Because I mean, there's some. I'm going to show you one tonight. I may only show you one tonight, but it'll give you an idea of how lo-fi and awesome it can be. But I think the people were intrigued by the fact that we were putting up there and making it mandatory, and that we were doing this kind of stuff. So I think there was a nice draw from clients that enjoyed the culture that we were kind of putting out. And I think half of them just wanted to see if it was bullshit or not. And the other half really believed it already and came in. So there was that, and then the other way that it's worked out with us professionally is we actually had a client come in and ask us to do it. They wanted, the creative brief was write some assignments for us and make them. And it was for a museum in Salt Lake City called the Leonardo. And the creative director had been a fan of our work for a while, but he's like, what we need is to sit down, brainstorm assignments that kind of point you very abstractly at this museum that's opening up in Salt Lake City, which was a science and art museum. And so we got paid to do them once, you know. I mean, not a lot, but we got paid to do them, and they're still playing them in the museum, which was fantastic. And during that process, I mean, how many of them? There were 22 of them, I think. And anywhere from, most of them were about 30 seconds long. Some of them were super abstract. Some of them were very pointed. But there was one that was this 3D piece where these creatures are flying around the museum. And one of our 3D guys had been he had just sunk his teeth into it, was really passionate about it. But he also had this other job, which was versioning out a commercial that we had done a year ago where he was just putting Japanese subtitles in on them, right? And that was paying for this other stuff, and he had to get that shit done. Everybody else had finished their Leonardo stuff, and any place else I've worked, the other guys would have taken over the 3D job and taken care of it. But that wasn't what happened. And our 3D guy was like, you know, yeah, here's the 3D project. I got to finish up these versions. Everybody else kicked him off the desk, took over all the versioning. They were just doing Japanese subtitles just so that he could stay all night long and finish the 3D thing because he was passionate about it. And that was, you know, that idea that people are taking care of each other, and that if there's an animation due at the end of the day and it's not right, the editor has to stay all night. The animators actually give a crap about that because they know who the editor is, and they know who the editor has at home waiting for him, and they know how she's going to feel if he doesn't show up. I mean, it kind of travels all the way down that line. And this, you know, I personally think it all started that first day we sat and did the assignments together. And I guess as far as lessons learned, it would be you can't design it. You just got to throw the right people in the right place and get the hell out of the way and let weird shit happen. The other thing is to always remember that I would say most of us started doing this kind of stuff because we're obsessed with the process. It's therapeutic, it's cathartic, it gets shit out, and you got to make time for it. You got to create time to work without the constraints of knowing what the end is supposed to be. And one of our employees just he finally convinced me to read Franny and Zoe by J.D. Salinger, and there's some quotes in the last chapter of it, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was just perfectly timed. It was just about working for work's sake is one of the holiest things you can do, and I think the assignments kind of embody that a little bit, in that it just pisses me off when it's the day before assignment time and I haven't even thought about it yet. And then I wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I have to show an assignment at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and this was at least 1/3 my fault, you know, that I have to show up at 5 o'clock with an assignment. And then I'll take 15 minutes and grab the handy cam and look at the assignment list. It's like, what can I do with this and this in 15 minutes? And that 15 minutes will be the best 15 minutes of the month. I mean, it is, I know it's not going to be a good video. I'm only spending 15 minutes on it. But the process is awesome, that I actually have to sit there and singularly focus on this one thing for the sake of it, and it's beautiful. The video is not beautiful. The process is beautiful. So we have tons of them, and it's hard for me to bring myself to show you any of them because they work best when you look at them all staring you in the face as little thumbnails and trying to figure out which one you're going to watch first, and just kind of, you know, crapshoot it, and then crapshoot and just kind of casually blink on another one. But I brought some. I don't know how I'm doing on time. Doing all right? Okay. All right. All right. So, oh, shit. God, I talked a lot. I'm sorry. All right. So, in conclusion, I'm going to show you one. And it is probably one of my favorite assignments because I go back and watch it regularly. I heard Alan groan a little bit back there. This is one of my favorites.
What the motherfucker are you looking at? I'm about to burn the motherfucking shit out to the mother. What the motherfucker are you looking at? Stop motherfucking looking at me right motherfucking now. Huh?
You're missing the best part. What the motherfucker you looking at? Thanks for listening to me ramble on. I appreciate it. It felt like 5 minutes.